For many people, when it comes to addressing issues with health and wellness, we look at so many different factors. Of course, many people look at what they're eating, how they're feeling, what their energy levels are like, maybe sleep, all those other metrics. But there's one key factor that a lot of people don't take into account. And it turns out this can be a big factor in determining your gut health and your overall health. And that's your hair, how well it's growing, how well it's doing. And for many people, hair is an issue, especially because we do tend to see a lot of hair loss in people who are nutritionally depleted or have other health issues. So I have brought my colleague, Julie Olson, who is the expert on hair and wellness, and she's going to give us a whole bunch of really great information. Before she and I start, I'd love to tell you just a little bit about her. Julie Olson is a triple certified functional medicine nutritionist. After struggling with hair loss, digestive issues, chronic fatigue, and autoimmunity, doctors told her there was nothing she could do about it naturally. Unconvinced, Julie made it her mission to restore her own health and help people do the same with natural solutions to look and feel their very best. With over 10 years of experience working with functional and integrative practitioners, Julie has helped thousands of people transform their health. She is a board-certified holistic nutritionist, a certified nutritionist, a certified gluten-free practitioner, a graduate of the University of Colorado and Huntington University of Health Sciences. She also has extensive training through the Institute of Functional Medicine. Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me. And like you said, it is an important aspect to look at. People don't really associate our hair with our health and especially our gut health. And the problem is our hair scalp follicles have now been discovered as a new microbiome. But unfortunately, they are the forgotten organ, because our nutrients first have to go to our vital organs to keep us alive, like our heart and our lungs and our brain and so forth. So anything that's left over it goes to our hair. And then if you're not only eating enough, but the bottom line is, are you absorbing those nutrients? And I find it with a lot of the women, especially I work with, that they're eating great, but they've got some stress in their life or toxins, or there's so many things that can prevent you from absorbing those nutrients. So it's important. And also, I want to point out that our scalp hair follicles have a very high metabolism and the third highest cellular turnover in our entire body. So they require a massive amounts of nutrients, absorbed nutrients.
And I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is, for so many of us, once we hit a certain age, the medical response is, oh, you're just getting older. And so
yeah,
there's
some truth, right? There's some truth to that. Our hair does thin as we age, and especially in menopause, when we stop producing estrogen and progesterone, that can thin the hair as well. But it doesn't, you don't have to have major thin hair. Yeah, there's a lot of myths to, oh, your hair is just falling out because you age. They attribute that to other health issues too, and that's really a big myth.
And like I read in your bio in the beginning, if you have gut health issues, if you have autoimmune health issues, those can be a factor in that. But often, if you're seeing someone to get help with that, unless they're a functional or holistically minded practitioner, they're not necessarily going to tie those things together.
And that's why I'm on a mission to help women with natural options and solutions and give them hope, because I don't want women to feel the way I did when I lost my hair in massive chunks. I was told there's nothing I could do about it naturally. All I could do is try some medications or laser or hair plugs or all these topical expensive serums and products, nothing that get to the root cause.
And When you are evaluating someone and, they've come to you and they want to talk with you about possibly stopping, at least, if not reversing, what's going on with their hair loss, what are some of the key factors that they need to incorporate nutritionally in order to begin that journey?
Sure. So they need to get their gut in. I would first do some functional labs to see what is out of balance, but there are some top hair nutrients.
Oh, really? And what are those?
Okay, so we've got protein. Now, hair is made mostly of protein. Hair fibers are, you need daily protein intake to absorb for strong, healthy hair. That's why vegans, vegetarians, they struggle with hair loss and hair thinning because they don't get those branch chain amino acids that you don't get in a vegan vegetarian protein. You only get those in animal protein. This is very important. You need at least 20 grams of animal protein per meal. And think of the size of the palm of your hand. Then some of the other fat soluble vitamins that are really important are vitamin D, vitamin A, and vitamin E. Now, vitamin D plays a role in stimulating new and old hair follicles. Where there's not enough vitamin D in your system, new hair growth can be stunted. And good sources of that are liver, egg yolks, sardines, salmon, which a lot of people don't like to eat, especially liver. So it's very important to at least supplement with vitamin D. Get your levels checked. And then vitamin A helps make this even conditions your scalp, which is essential for healthy hair growth. It also can stimulate the growth of hair follicle stem cells. And we're back to liver. Liver is a superfood for hair. Egg yolks, leafy greens, carrots, pumpkin, yams, arugula.
And one of the things that I think is really important to point out as well is those fat soluble vitamins depend on having enough fat in your diet. So it's not just the protein. And
essential fatty acids are linked to hair growth due to the proliferation of hair follicle cells, and deficiencies cause hair loss and actually lightening of hair color.
Really? Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's amazing. I think it's also really important for people to remember that there are healthy fats and unhealthy fats. So we want to keep the gut in line, to support the fat activation of certain nutrients, as well as just for overall body health. We need to make sure that we're getting the good, healthy fat.
I know you must have multiple lists on that. Staying away from the canola oil and the sunflower oil, most all the vegetable oils except for olive oil is a great healthy fat.
Yeah, and definitely
avocados are a great healthy fat. Walnuts.
Absolutely. We definitely want to stay away from any of the trans fats, which aren't even generally recognized as safe anymore. Like they're not banned from the food supply, so we do still see them, but anything that's hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated is just really bad for us.
I heard they're one step away from plastic when they metabolize in your body, those trans fats. Scary.
They can accumulate. It doesn't take very much of them to start accumulating and clogging tissues. So definitely not a good choice. So how challenging is it for people when you are running some of these functional tests and then we have to begin to make changes? Can you talk about what that journey looks like? Because I think for a lot of people, they think, oh, it's going to be so hard. What am I going to eat? Get a little overwhelmed. And the answer is food, like real food. But can you talk about a little bit about what that journey looks like in the beginning?
Sure. Meaning,
for so many people, I don't know about you, but I know a lot of times when people come to see me, because I tend to focus on gut health and chemical cleanup, they're often eating a standard American diet.
Oh, okay.
So then when we take away all of those crutch foods, all of those snacky foods, high carb, nutrient deficient foods, and they're like, what am I supposed to eat? And so it's a little bit of a challenge for them. And for your people, what do you normally see?
I see probably what you see as well, but I also see a lot of clients who have been to multiple practitioners and they have a lot of food sensitivities because usually they have leaky gut. So you really have to get down to the basics and make sure you heal their gut up so they can start absorbing nutrients. And there's probably some sort of stress going on that's depleting things, H. pylori,
Mhm.
even celiac disease, or even if you're very gluten intolerant, as I was, and that's one of the reasons my hair was falling out in chunks because I didn't realize it. So I became anemic,
Oh,
and
wow.
that's another very important nutrient for hair health is iron, because a deficiency or surplus negatively affects the normal cycle of hair growth and can lead to excessive shedding of hair. So to determine your iron levels, you really need an iron panel, and you need to look at the saturation as well, which most normal doctors won't do. You have to do
And
some.
so fascinating because I think for a lot of doctors, as long as you're not anemic, they're like, whatever. It's challenging because there is a range. I didn't realize that having too much iron was potentially a factor or an indicator leading towards hair loss. And so that's got to be really challenging for people because I think a lot of consumers, when they're looking at their own labs or whatever, they think, oh, more is better. But there's a point, it sounds like, where more is not great.
And that leads us into another nutrient that you can't get too much of either, which is really important for hair health and our thyroid health, and that's selenium. So it aids in the formation of hair follicles and protection against damage. But people think, oh, okay, so I'm going to load up on, say, Brazil nuts, but you only want to have 2 nuts per serving, or you're getting too much selenium just from those Brazil nuts.
Wow, that's important to keep in mind. Now, so one of the other things that a lot of people look at when they're concerned about their hair, of course, is how they take care of it. Are there certain products that you do or don't recommend for people to use on their hair?
Sure, but can we go through all the nutrients?
Oh, sure,
We can come back
absolutely.
over
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. So what else what else?
Yeah, you think of hair products, a lot of hair products put in biotin in their hair products. I don't really know what biotin can do for it topically, but you
Oh,
also, you want to eat gluten-free for healthy
mhm.
hair, and you want to look for products, shampoos, conditioners, what have you, that are gluten-free. But the interesting thing about biotin, it's in all the hair supplements, and people think, oh, biotin for hair, biotin for, but it doesn't help with hair growth. It only leads to dry, brittle hair that's prone to thinning when you are deficient in biotin, but it doesn't help with hair growth. So that's another myth that I wanted to point out.
I didn't realize that because you're right. So many people, they're told to take biotin and add it to their diet or whatever. I didn't realize that it wasn't as much of a support as we've been led to believe that it is.
And it's actually can get too much biotin. And there's one supplement that I like everything about it, but it's got way too much biotin in it. And that can really throw off your whole system. So like you were saying earlier, more is not better. And that's why you need to listen to your practitioner, because like myself, I'm very careful about the amount of nutrients that I'm recommending in certain supplements. And I'm also making sure my clients do a food journal so I can balance everything out.
And that's a really good point because if we're changing the diet, although the body doesn't necessarily absorb as much or as quickly directly from food, if you're supplementing at the same time, you need to make sure that you're not overdoing it.
Right. And then that leads us into zinc, which is involved in tissue growth and repair, including, and we go back to liver and eggs, and oysters are a great source of zinc, even yogurt, pumpkins, sunflower seeds, poultry, sardines. Sardines are another great superfood. And I like to say that's the cheapest superfood you can, that and liver, but most people don't like it. I love both of those. How about you?
So I can't eat the sardines. I have a true food allergy to all
Oh,
seafood. And so I've had it for a very long time. And I got anaphylaxis several times, put myself in the
oh,
hospital. Yeah, so I don't eat it anymore.
oh, wow. Okay.
However, I will say that I am a fan of liver. And I also am a huge fan of adding it, for example, to have a ground meat that's part organ meat, part ground meat, because then it's easy to hide it in things like meatloaf and spaghetti sauce. Over a spaghetti squash or zoodles or something like that, it's really hard to tell that there's a little bit of organ meat in there as well. It's just
Right.
delicious.
And I think one of our colleagues created those pluck
Yes,
seasonings that have the
yes.
organ meats in it.
James Barry created Pluck, which is a delicious seasoning that is made with organ meat. And I think that's a really great way to add it too, as long as it tastes good. I think the biggest challenge we have these days, so there's two challenges with sardines and liver. One is that we're not used to eating them. Like our modern diet just doesn't include it anymore. I certainly didn't grow up eating either of those foods. So by the time I had kids, I didn't feed it to them either. It wasn't until after they were out of the house that it was like, ooh, I need to at least add the organ meat in. And then the other thing is that for some of it, there's a little bit of a cultural distaste because we haven't had it. And that's why I love the organ meat and the liver, kidney, all of that being hidden in something like a seasoning or a ground meat or whatever, because to go source a liver, first of all, is not always that easy. And then what do you do with it? For sardines, a lot of people are like, it's a little fish in a can. Like, so you have to find ways to utilize it where, to learn how to overcome that. So that can be challenging. And so I guess that you talked about those being superfoods. Are there any other superfoods that are nutritionally dense?
Most nuts and seeds are really good for hair health,
Oh, wow.
just in general, especially walnuts. Sunflower seeds are high in zinc. Yeah, selenium. I mentioned Brazil nuts. Let's see. Vitamin E, nuts and
Mhm.
seeds are full of vitamin E usually, and manganese, nuts and seeds. And deficiencies can lead to slow hair growth.
Mhm.
And so
And
vitamin, yeah.
sorry, I was just gonna say one really important thing to point out is for those nuts and seeds, it's best if they're soaked or sprouted because we
Right,
want to get rid of
exactly.
that phytic acid. Yeah, that just helps make it more absorbable, all the
Sure.
nutrients in it.
And then vitamin E helps reduce breakdown of hair follicles, providing moisture by soothing the oil glands. Again, nuts and seeds, leafy greens, olive oil. That's another great hack to get a great organic olive oil. And don't cook with it because it oxidizes, but you can add that to a lot of things and it's very beneficial. Even topically for hair is nice.
I do that every once in a while. I'll just soak my hair and then I wrap it up and sleep with it overnight and then wash it out in the morning. And it feels so good. So I have curly hair, which tends to be a slightly drier consistency anyway. So when I oil my hair, it just sucks it off.
Oh,
It's
nice. The B vitamins too are really important. Niacin, especially the flushing type, dilates the capillaries and also takes away the buildup of calcium and DHT that can otherwise greatly inhibit follicle hair growth.
So the non-flushing niacin
No,
actually
you
is
want the flushing
good for you.
niacin.
Wow.
You want the flushing niacin. Yeah, the flushing type is really good for dilating the capillaries and taking away the buildup of calcium and DHT that can otherwise inhibit hair growth.
Wow. And it's always interesting to me how different people react differently. Like I get very hot when I take that, but I know other people where they turn beet red. It's kind of a funny reaction. It doesn't hurt. It's just a little startling.
Sure. And taking it with food can
Oh, wait.
help, and especially
Yeah.
in the morning. And then vitamin C helps not only absorb our protein better, which is so important, it also helps us absorb our iron better, which I mean, it's preaching to the choir, all this, but also helps as far as improves the scalp circulation and the absorption, again, like of protein, like I was telling you about. And people don't realize that the bell peppers are very high in vitamin C, which are my favorite. I eat them every day like an apple.
Ah, there you go. That's great. So I have a question then. Like, I know one of the things I encourage my clients to do is skin brushing in the morning before you hop in the shower, skin brush. Obviously, you can't skin brush your hair, but is it good to get scalp massages?
Oh, it's so great. There's been actually a number of studies showing it really helps with hair health and hair growth. And I have
Wow.
this, I don't have it with, it's in my other room, but I should have brought it. It's got 28 palms. It's on my website. And
Oh,
it
wow.
just says it's a scalp massager and it feels divine. It feels so good. And then there's this roller that's like a scalp. It penetrates the cells. You can roll on your scalp too. If you do those twice a day. And
Oh,
then
wow.
another hack is getting, the reason is you need the circulation, you need the nutrients up there. And the problem is so many people are sedentary. So a hack is to stand on your head or your hands or an inversion table for 3 minutes a
Wow.
day.
Wow, that's amazing.
And
I
another,
didn't
yeah,
know
go
that.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I didn't know that. That's wild to think that just 3 minutes a day would be helpful for hair health.
And then also a silk pillowcase, not satin, but silk.
Okay,
And that helps so your hair is not pulled. It
right.
really helps it with someone like you with the curly hair. It helps you maintain 43% of the moisture, not only in your hair, but in your skin. So it's good for both. And it feels divine.
And see, it's so funny because I wonder, I'll have to try it. I know I tried satin for a while, but it felt so slippery. I couldn't take it anymore because on my hair, it was probably fine on my face. Like I'd roll over. It was like, oh, so I'll have to get a silk one and try that.
Yeah, satin is different. And they'll try to sell it to you for the same reasons. It's marketed as the same way. It helps with hair health and skin health, but it's not the same. And I found one that has a zipper and it's machine washable that's silk. And it's on
Oh,
my website.
oh, okay, definitely. So we'll have to make sure that we put your website down below. I'll get that from you before we finish. And we'll definitely make sure to put a link there so that people can find you and find the stuff that we're talking about here. This is amazing. Like we have just covered so many different nutrients and strategies. Before we wrap up here, I wanted to ask if someone were concerned about their hair health and what was going on, aside from reaching out to you, obviously, to get some support, what is one of the best things that they can do to start taking care of themselves and helping to support their body for better hair growth?
Eating quality animal protein and meal.
There you go. That seems pretty easy and pretty straightforward. Julie, this has been amazing. You have shared so much fabulous information with us. What is your website actually, so people can find you?
I made it easy. You can go to julieolson.com.
Great. That sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, folks. I will make sure that link is down below. And while you're there looking at that, please make sure to click that subscribe button so that we can stay connected when there are more great videos. Julie, thank you so much for being here. I really enjoyed talking with you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Oh, I enjoyed it too. And you as well. Thank you very much for having me.
All right. Take care, folks. Bye-bye.